Yeah. There we go. Is the wrap up. So we are doing the wrap up. So I'll do some of the quick wrap up stuff first. A lot of people to thank. Okay, Elizabeth and Priscilla for taking the nuggets of name spelled. Which part?
Her first name.
First, right? Okay. I did try to spell check it, but okay. So Priscilla and Elizabeth for program. This is why I had lots of people double check the program book before I put it out. Okay, Rick Kowalczyk and Fred Bauer for tech. Basically, I bought a bunch of toys and they got to play with them before I did. Kevin Roche, Deb Geisler, Stephen Bauscher for dealing with Spanish Inquisition question time. Lisa Hayes, Kevin Stanley, and Kuma Bear for their videography work on Spanish Inquisition question time. Bubonic-Con Inc., Sheila McClune, MFCI, and Fred Bauer, who's loaned us various pieces of equipment. I probably missed a couple people on that. NAS 20, Memphis in 2023, DiscCon 3, Glasgow in 2024, and Nice in 2023. I know it's spelled like nice, but my brain, sorry, like I said, nobody proofed these slides. You can tell. Yes. Tara was too busy running the con suite, which brings me to Tara Oaks and Rebecca Hewitt for running the con suite.
Yeah, they did an amazing job.
And to our panelists and workshop leaders. And I see Janie coming up slowly. So I see her through the door, so she's almost here. No, you just need to get someplace where you can hear and absorb the feedback that will be of use to you for next year. So, yes. It's kind of useful if you're going to run a SMOFCon to hear the feedback from the last one. So, yes. So that's the feedback. All right, so this is where we are. So we'll start with feedback. Both anybody online, if you need to type, I've got it so I can see it here. And anybody in the room, if you're in the room, please form a line and use the mic in the center.
Please identify yourself too before you start speaking so that people online know who is speaking.
Yes.
First. I'm Becky Veal. The reason why I jumped up here is I want to get back in the fan table room. I just want to thank Priscilla and Elizabeth for an outstanding programming job. There was almost always something I wanted to do. There was very seldom two things I wanted to do. It was outstanding. And I would like to thank Kevin for having arranged the question time so that it went so smoothly and so fast, and there weren't any mix-ups with the media, and I was extremely happy with that.
Thank you.
My name is Priscilla Olson, and I have a few things to say about the con suite. The only issue that I had with it, I wish it had been open on Thursday night. But besides that, it was fabulous. And the fact that it was on the same floor as most of the program was really good. You know, people should remember if they can do that, they should. And get a chance to try some interesting new foods.
Hi, I'm TR. And first, thank you. I had a really great time. I enjoyed being on program, which I don't normally do. So Elizabeth, you're going to have a discussion about this in the future.
Priscilla didn't tell me that.
But it was a great time. The panel items I was on and that I attended, which are the ones my husband was on, I thought were very interesting items, and we had a good time. I think that the one thing I would have liked to have, it was an area where it was comfortable to gather to just sit and talk. We were a bit distributed here. The con suite was a little bit cramped. We certainly could not all get in there. It was in a typical 1-bedroom plus parlor suite. The location was in fact great. No arguments with that. People ended up getting behind the registration desk area where you had some benches. But a lot of, I think that we could have had even more fun if we'd had a place where with comfy couches or chairs or something where we could have just sat around and chatted and had easy access to beverages, probably more than anything in this dehydrating environment. But other than that, thank you.
I think, and that was the intent, leaving the soft seating in the registration area. And I know, but you know, it's just the available space essentially. And I do know that a lot of people ended up in the lounge downstairs or the bar downstairs, and that's where people ended up congregating instead of hospitality.
Yeah, and until when I was last in the hotel where they were doing the restaurant seating, that had been additional area where people could have congregated. Yeah, it's not as convenient upstairs as up here on the second floor. We did not know the hotel restaurant was going to be being remodeled, refloored, whatever it is that's happening. I guess we've heard 2 or 3 different words from different people. What I heard from our hotel rep was that the flooring was being redone in there. Other people heard different things. So, but yeah, we expected that area to be available as additional seating, even though it was on the first floor. And it wasn't. So that was kind of a surprise to me when I walked in on Wednesday. Anyone else? We'd like the people who are streaming to be. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Fred.
Okay, I find that the badges were a problem that have been solved in the past by having the ability to read somebody's name from further away than about a foot would be really useful. It is not that difficult to make up a readable badge, name badge.
Please make names bigger next year, please.
That's the thing. I mean, this was really difficult.
Yeah, so yeah. I can apologize for that. I was ordering labels and I knew how much space I had. I think I just looked at the available labels and I ordered the wrong ones, at which point I was stuck with how big I could make the fonts and still get the mail merge to work. So.
After you do the mail merge, you have to manually modify the size of the text because some names are long and some names are short. It's an extra step.
Actually, it's not necessary to do that manually. There are automated programs that generate badge names and that automatically assign the correct font to fit on whatever label size you pick. A bigger label size would be great, and I think Janny should keep that in mind. But getting a Dymo, if you have a Dymo printer, it comes with a self-scaling application for your PC. So it would be wonderful, and I mean, it's even written in the WesterCon rules. If you really find out what the specs for a badge ought to be, go look on westercon.org and look at the rules.
I will fully admit this is a failing. This is something I do know, or normally do know needs to be done better, know how to do. It was everything fell onto the chair because I didn't have enough staff, and so.
Because you didn't ask for more staff?
Yes, I would say that was the biggest problem, is that you tried to do everything yourself. At SMOFCon, there are people who are reasonably competent, who are willing to work for you, and you should take them up on anything you can.
Yeah.
Elizabeth and I started a lot later than we should have, even though we had both offered well ahead of that. And the fact that we worked together so well was really nice. But in other cases, you
surprising.
could have taken a lot of stress off yourself and done a better job on everything from the pocket program to the badges to keeping everybody happy, including yourself, by asking.
But
That's when we came on, and that was
Yeah.
late.
Mhm.
yeah, I will admit I was hesitant to ask until after Worldcon because I knew a lot of people were busy with that. And one of my failings as a leader is I am a horrible recruiter because I'm an introvert by nature. I hate to ask people to do things, and it's something I need to work on. I admit that, yeah. I even hate asking friends to do things. So asking people that are not close friends, further out than friends is even harder. So, and asking anonymous people, say, hey, help, I'm getting over my head, was really hard.
What is, so I can't read the screen from here because.
Oh.
One request from abroad next year, can we have more items being?
So it's to repeat for everybody else, well, obviously the streams can read it, but yes, they'd like more items to be streamed, which is a technical issue, but that's Jeannie's technical issue to work out. So, or Janny's, sorry, Janny, I keep doing that to you. Your name got programmed wrong in my head.
This is Sharon Sparsky. Speaking about the Pocket program, it was really great to see the descriptions all in printed form, but the people who are on the panels were not included.
I had nothing to do with.
I'm looking at you in front because you're in front. Yeah, I'm not trying to blame anyone. I'm just saying that if we're going to have a printed Pocket program, please include the participant names. The grid, it's okay to only have the titles, but let's use the technology.
Well, and I
that we
think
can.
we needed a grid. We didn't really have a good grid pull out for just a first glance, grid. I don't think.
Actually, we did have a grid. It was also available registration. It was a separate document.
Ah.
So,
Instead of it being in the
Yeah.
pocket program, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Nelson. I apologize if I missed it, but I did not see any posted schedule of events in the Consuite groups, donated time and money and so forth, and there was no advertising.
oh. Okay. Oh yeah. Why am I looking over there when I can look over here? Yeah. 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 It was great to have the streaming. Okay. It's been very useful. From Jovan. Streaming was lovely, especially the fact chance to take part. Thank you very seriously. However, it's all feasible. Select the time for the Vanishing Commission to put both on with on location. The bulk of the remote attendees. 3:30 a.m. was tough. Yes, stream would be great. To address the issue of the Finnish Inquisition question time, there'd be two issues with trying to suit that for everyone. We'd be trying to target North America, Europe, and Oceania, which it's almost impossible to find a time that is suitable for all three of those time zones. The other issue is that for SMOFCon, traditionally, Spanish Inquisition is our Friday or Saturday night big event.
Well, and more international SMOFCons will solve that problem.
Yes. So, yeah. So trying to schedule our Saturday night big event at a time which is convenient for everybody could have it happening at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's not a Saturday night big event. Yeah.
Speaking of international SMOFCons, this is my first. It's rather good. Rather good to be with family. Rather, sort of reticent to call myself a SMOF, but I realized that after yeah, exactly. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, they don't. But I've had to explain to any number of people. I'm going to this thing called SMOFCon. What's that? Oh, it's the con for people who run con. It's it's very meta. Yeah, it is. It's like So I'm going to a MetaCon. Well, okay, there's a name for a con. I just wanted to know if there was anybody else in the hotel who had a daily cold shower. So not. Oh, okay, but I did.
What time in
Every
the
day.
morning?
Yes, I did. The hotel was remarkably responsive the first day. I went back up after breakfast, and the two things I'd mentioned at the desk were fixed, which was fabulous. And I went back to the desk and I said, fabulous. Next morning, cold shower. And I called them, and they turned up straight away and were able to fix nothing. So basically, I've had tepid showers every day.
What time in the morning was that?
Well, 7:30 this morning, 9:30.
That's
Yeah.
that's odd.
I
I
think it's a
heard-
mechanical failure related to the room, but they kept saying, oh, no, it's related to the boilers.
Hmm.
It's related to the boilers.
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings on this hotel. I found it was very quiet, which was very nice because sometimes you hear every footstep above you or next door. On the other hand, we had a warm refrigerator, and at 6:30 in the morning, the showers are perfectly warm.
I think I got your hot water because my shower was volcanically hot.
I will have to say that the first morning my shower was warm, not hot. It was tolerable. So the next morning I went in, I turned on the water full hot again before I started doing other wash. Stepped into the shower and damn near got scalded. Yeah, exactly.
Something I would like to see next year is because of, like Ron said, they weren't aware that the restaurant would be closed this weekend. It's just double checking, like maybe the week or 2 weeks beforehand to make sure the food options, if you're in a business area, a lot of times the food options close on the weekends if you're near a lot of businesses. Just making sure that the things will be open physically present is a wonderful thing.
It's very reassuring to hear that so many Smurfs take showers as a start. I think that needs to be said. So we do. Okay, there's another questionnaire. Fully understand the vanishing position timing problem. If at all possible, can recording for that be available as soon as possible on the website? There's technical things to be done, but if you can do it early, it'd be brilliant. Okay.
Kevin,
Yeah, Kevin has
the mic.
Yes, the videographer's assistant says, yes, it would have been possible to get them up perhaps as early as today by me still being in my room and never having come down and never having slept, editing the video that comes out of the cameras. And it does require, I don't mean changing things, it's just basically cutting apart those sections that have to be cut apart and splicing together those segments that have to be. It takes many, many hours. If you've done video editing, you may think, oh, well, it's just a few minutes. It's not for 3 hours worth of video. It takes forever. It will probably be at least a week or so before we get that material online, because we leave from here and start driving or making our slow way home to Fernley, Nevada. So we'll get it up as soon as we can, but I just could not spend any more time. I did have to sleep a few hours. So.
Yeah. Let me steal the mic since I'm walking around with it. Just in terms of something to consider for future ones, yes, there's technical issues. Yes, we have people understand the technology, like to do streaming, etc. It might be worth setting up to live stream the Vanishing Inquisition through something like a YouTube stream or something like that. It is possible if you have the internet for it, something future ones can consider. Okay, TR.
I have no knowledge of the technology that goes into the videography, but would it be possible, because we're not saying anything we're embarrassed about, to put the full thing up immediately with the promise of a fully edited version later?
So we tried to do this at Boston SMOFCon a couple of years ago, and we failed for technology reasons. And I think using GoToMeeting, we can both stream it immediately, and we could have the GoToMeeting up almost immediately and not have Kevin have to do a lot of things. So I think this is perhaps something I'm willing to work on for next year. And I don't even know if Lisa and Kevin were planning on hauling all their equipment. I thank Lisa and Kevin for bringing their equipment, but I know getting it to Montreal would be harder. The other thing I want to say in terms of asking venues what's open and not, there were a number of problems 2 years ago at SMOFCon in Boston. I apologize for that. At one point, we sat down with the hotel and we said, is there anything else you need to tell us that's going to bite us by the end of the weekend? And then about 24 hours later, we walked, and they said no. And then about 12 hours later, or maybe it was 36 hours later, we walked downstairs and found out the lobby was gone.
I really, Kevin Stanley again, this perhaps sounds excessively sensitive of me, but having been through this with WSFS business meeting videos, when we've rushed to get these things out in the raw video form, I'd like to yield to Lisa as soon as I say this, but I got really tired of the people who, if we did rush these things out, people going, how come the segment ended in the middle of someone's sentence? And they get all picky about this. We could easily post the raw video. I could be uploading it right now. But people get really, really annoyed, unreasonably so in my opinion, because what happens is the camera just records and then it stops and records the next segment. That's just a video. And if it doesn't, if the things don't stop where people stop and start where they want them to start, they start griping about it. I'm sorry. Lisa?
I want to thank everyone who's thanked me for doing the work. It's something I would like to do. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I was willing and have put in a considerable amount of my own money and equipment. We did come ready to stream this event. I came with all the equipment to do it, but you can't have one person do everything. So if the next convention, I will bring some equipment. I'd be willing to provide a streaming port of everything that's recording if somebody's willing to run the computer that streams it.
So there's comments from Phil. Fully understand the Spanish Inquisition timing problem. If at all possible, the recording to be available. Did we do that? Okay.
Yeah,
The next question from Esther, her comment is, obviously there were some issues this year with the questionnaire. Can we have a panel to discuss changes to Spanish Inquisition questionnaire next year, please?
Next year. She wants it next year. She's asking for next year.
Okay, panel next year. I was just going to say, yeah, the streaming can be worked out. If I'd known you were ready to do it, I could have brought the box, which would have let us do it. Okay,
yeah.
Good. Later.
She had the box. If we had coordinated a little earlier, we probably could have shut this computer down, brought it over.
Okay.
Originally, we were thinking we were going to have a tethered wired internet, and it would have been impractical, and
Okay.
we just never moved from that.
Let's stop with the streaming like we stopped with the showers. Okay. Because we started programming so late this year, it was difficult to figure out who to put on some program. It's supposed to be a really interactive convention, but we don't know everybody. As it was, we managed to get about half of the people at SMOFCon on a panel, but to research things, to find out who might be good, that was problematical. So I'd like to, I guess, ask SMOFCon participants to be more forthcoming about the sorts of things they might be willing to do or have expertise in, because that would help whoever does programming in the future.
And I see, Esther, I see your thing. But to that point too, how many people in this room were actually on program items? Will you raise your hand? Okay, wow. My second point, how many of you—
Most people raise their hands for those online.
Yeah. How many of you received your, your final, your draft schedule about a week before? I got reports that not everyone was getting the emails from Grenadine, and I had no way to discover who didn't get them. I know one person in particular, Stephen Boucher, never received anything and was on panels. There was also people that needed technology. We had sent out, here's what you need to have to bring with you if you have a slideshow or presentation. Some of those people also got back and said they never received that information. So I think that's something we need to be careful about in the future, that we're making sure we have some sort of redundancy to know that our communications are being communicated. That came out wrong.
Okay.
Sorry, Esther.
Yeah, I was to say online, there's someone commenting that they didn't get the meeting links either, which is interesting because those went out to the list, not through Grenadine.
Well, those actually did originally go out. They also went out through Grenadine because I was trying to at least initially get them to the members before they went out
So
to the
one
public.
of the problems that we had is that we were not given a list of the people participating in the meeting. I couldn't put them, I couldn't add it into Grenadine as a schedule. And I scheduled people against meetings accidentally, not knowing they were in meetings, because that was a communication issue between the Spanish Inquisition programming and the chair.
Yeah.
That's where we dropped that ball.
Can we hold off on the comment a minute and get Janie the mic so she can answer Esther's question that's just about to scroll off the screen about the panel for next year? She's right behind you. The one about the Spanish Inquisition questionnaire. Since that's if you're willing to put that.
Sure, we
consider
can have
that
a
panel.
panel about the Inquisition questionnaire.
So
We're fine.
Jenny, I don't know if you were aware, there was a rather extensive change made to the Spanish Inquisition question.
Yes, I filled it out.
Okay, there you go. And
I
there were some, comments about it on email. So
Yeah,
that's-
I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
We can have a discussion about it. I, being the person who usually gets the questionnaire, this is the first year I've ever gotten it on time. So I'm usually filling out that thing 3 days before. So it's I'm kind of limited.
I think this all comes down partly to communication. I'm sorry, I'm a nitpicker as far as this goes. The SMOFCon mailing list, it usually seems to be more open that everybody can just post on it. This time around, I believe it had to go through Ron, who had to accept a posting before it could go on the SMOFCon mailing list.
This SMOFCon mailing list was fully open. That was not changed.
Well, then maybe I never found out where it was.
The SMOFCon mail, this is Sharon Sparsky again. The SMOFCon mailing list is the same mailing list that was started for SMOFCon 15, and we've been adding members. And some SMOFCons are better about getting new people who are new to SMOFCon to get onto the mailing list. It's an open mailing list. Anyone who subscribes automatically gets added. The problem that you had, Priscilla, was that you used a different email address than what you were originally subscribed to, so that got a little bit of a delay before it got posted. We'll talk offline.
Yeah.
Hi, Esther. It's Janie again. I will say that on my reg form, I do have a checkbox for people who want Spanish Inquisition information. So it's not going to be a who knows who is going to need it.
Yeah.
There is a list.
Yeah. And one of the things that I did address in my written response to the joint statement is that because as somebody who is bidding a SMOFCon, I too had a tendency to not get the information on, hey, you need to fill out this FAQ, because in the past it tended to go to the WorldCon bids and they'd forget the SMOFCon bids. I actually tried to put it out to the lists first for both, or I tried to make sure it went out to the list, the SMOFCon list, the SMOFs list, and posted it on the JOF Facebook group. And that actually went out before the private invites, which were sent through Grenadine, because that was the mechanism I had to send mass email safely without risking Ron at smofcon37abq.org getting listed as a spammer and having Gmail tell me I'm not allowed to send email. So.
I wanted to mention for next year as well. There were some people I know that the timing on the Inquisition questions going out for the Americans hit the week of Thanksgiving, and it also hit when a bunch of the chairs were in China. And so I think making sure that that happens even earlier, because we're really, I mean, we know this is going to happen every year. You'd think we could get this stuff out a little early, but that being said, the timing of things and making sure people have enough time to answer
Yeah.
and send back.
I'd say ideally that should go out
there's
at
one of them
least
now.
the 1st of November, probably earlier. I know Andrew had intended to get it out at the 1st of November. Honestly, wasn't aware that it hadn't gone out until it was brought to me, because in the past it's often been sent as personal email to people. And so when it was brought to my attention, I hastened to get it out. And Andrew did apologize. He had intended to get it out and got sick and had some other personal things come up. And there were screw ups on this, and I admit it. And so there were issues there. I made my written response to the written statement. That's on the website. Was in the packet, so it's where people can find it to some extent. So I'm not going to address, at least written any further, but.
So I would like to say something with multiple hats on.
Yeah.
First up, I am the person who, for the 2012 SMOFCon, initially came up with the FAQ idea. Okay, that was me. So I designed it. I sent it out to everybody. I collated all the responses. I got them on the website, etc. I have since filled it out. I don't even know how many damn times as a bidder. The key things, and Janny, for you, I think the things that are really, really important, in particular, if it's going to be updated, it needs to go out by mid-October. Bids need time, because we are, and I know you know that too, right? You have also been a bidder, so I don't know that you disagree with me. But I'm saying it for everybody else. It is a time-consuming proposition, and we do it because we want to be able to get those questions out of the way and be able to talk about real issues and real questions at the Inquisition. It's an important thing. I totally understand what Andy was going for. I like what he was going for. It didn't go as hoped, but I think that it's moving in a direction that can be very, very useful, and I hope that possibly between now and then some of us can work on it and continue to improve it and have it ready for next time.
Is it time for the interpretive dance part?
So actually online, they posted the SMOFCon list, joining URL. So
Yeah.
Anyone who doesn't know SMOFs and SMOFCon are two separate email lists. So
Yeah.
you must join them separately.
Yes, and they are, for anyone in the room, for convention running year round, just for anyone in the room who's not aware of them, there are at least 3 resources that are of great use. The SMOFs list, which Sharon can give you information on, or it's probably similar to what's shown there, except it's SMOFs instead of SMOFCon. The SMOFCon list is generally more SMOFCon specific. And then there is the JOF, group on Facebook. There are some others, they're JOF, Journeymen of Fandom. It was the group of people who decided they weren't quite masters, so they decided to be well, it's actually Journey Platypi, because they don't want to be men or women, or so they're the Journey Platypi fandom.
SMOFCon.com collects old SMOFCon information and other stuff. So if you SMOFCon.com.
Yeah. So a couple other announcements. If anybody has any presentations they gave and have not sent them to me for one reason or another already. Okay, Petra is saying conrunner.net is another good info site. So, all right. Oh, that's.
We're not gonna let you say names anymore.
Yeah. Another thing is that if anybody has given any presentations at this convention and they would like them put up on our website, please email them to me. It's ron@smofcon37- that's the one that goes horizontally, abq.org. It's the same as our URL. That should get to me. I know the personal email address on the domain works. Some of the mailing groups got a little flaky at times. Okay, and I'm going to.
I say for those online, Ron's trying to make technology work.
Yes. I mean, I'm only a computer scientist and a guy who's been using technology for years. So, of course, I can't make anything work. Okay. Oh. Let's try this again. Oh, there.
That's a good question.
Okay. ConSuite is. Okay, ConSuite should be open basically until the food runs out, or until people decide that they have to shut it and kick people out.
Rebecca's just coming in.
So Rebecca, they're wanting to know how long ConSuite's going to be open. What the instructions I gave Tara last night, or Tara and Rebecca, is to start putting what we have left out on paper plates and disposable stuff so that we don't have to clean any, while they're cleaning less disposable stuff, and to let people eat what we still have. Some of it may need heating, so hopefully the microwave in there can help with heating, or we can get some of the stuff heated, but.
I think what we have out now is what we have. There might be some point at which we decide that we just have to start putting stuff away so we can pack out. But the room should be open. The room should be open for hanging out in, certainly. Thank you for all your effort.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had something for next year. Can you please make sure that and I know that we're all friends, we know each other. I still think SMOFCon needs a code of conduct, and I would like to see one online before a few weeks before the con.
Yeah. That again, I apologize. We actually had our code of conduct back months ago. It just, the fact that I hadn't put it on the website when I was putting everything else up was. I am a lousy webmaster. I hate being the webmaster. I just keep ending up doing it. So.
And please make sure whatever code of conduct goes up next year is actually adequate and includes a process for reporting that will actually work. This one was not functional in that regard.
All right, so since we seem to be done, I'm going to go back through this since a few more people that were thanked are on here, and I fixed one of the missing thank yous. So thank you again. Elizabeth and Priscilla, I think I fixed the spelling error this time, hopefully. Rick and Fred for helping with tech, taking all my toys that I bought and playing with them for me. Kevin, Deb, and Stephen for taking the Spanish Inquisition and making it run. Lisa and Kevin and Kuma for getting the videography done. Bubana Khan, Sheila, MFCI, and Fred for all the stuff they've loaned us. MC.
I wondered what they were talking about.
Yes. The people, all the groups that sponsored the ConSuite, and we apologize we didn't get signs up for most of them. There were some communication glitches there. Tara and Rebecca for the ConSuite, our panelists and workshop leaders, and the one I forgot before, Anne Marie, for taking over hotel. And since none of us knew how to do it, none of us speak facilities.
Yeah, a personal thank you to Rick and Fred, and I also know Bill Parker and Chuck Shimada also helped you guys. Just the tech went awesome. It was so nice. Thank you.
Kevin Stanley. We'd like to thank all of those people who made their generous contributions to the Probability and Statistics seminar immediately following the Spanish Inquisition. And I believe that Gary Blogg in particular is particularly thankful for those who contributed, as the winner of this year's Probability and Statistics seminar was Gary Blogg.
And I would also, I wanted to thank Kent, Patty Wells, and Ian Stockdale for their assistance Friday night with the information exchange, especially because I was delayed by a lift by 15 minutes and was not here when it started. And I apologize sincerely, but I'm glad that you guys were here and I appreciate it. Thank you.
And there are a number of other tech people who also helped too. A lot of people stepped up. Bill Keaton, and I don't even know who else wasn't mentioned before, but thank you to everyone who helped.
I think Kevin, Dr. Kevin wants the mic. Oh, the gentleman from China too.
Okay. I'm Tony Xiaotong from Chengdu, China. I'd like to speak for myself and my colleague here, Yilun Fan. And we are the first Chinese here in the SMOFCon community. And I'd like to thank first to all the honored guests who just went to China and come to SMOFCon. And then they brought us here. That's Ben, Helen, Bill, Dave, Colette, and forgive me, who else? Kelly, yes, Kelly, yes, Pablo, yes, yeah. So it's a group of people, wonderful people. They just had a wonderful appearance in Chengdu, and then suggest us to come here to join this SMOFCon community. And this is a great opportunity for us to learn, and also for us try to learn the technique to make the connection between the Chinese sci-fi fandom and the world sci-fi fandom in large. So thank you to SMOFCon, and thank you for the word. Thank you.
I'm Kevin Hewitt, and I'm the president of the board for the parent corporation of this SMOFCon. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I also like to thank everyone who participated in the poster session on Friday night. That was the one thing I actually sort of ran. I think I like if there's any feedback on did it go well, did the things need to change, I'd kind of like to have that. But again, thank everyone for coming to New Mexico and Albuquerque for SMOFCon 37. Thank you.